Lucah, Born of a Dream is an intoxicating game. You fall into a post-apocalyptic world of unknown consequence and repetitive cycles. It's hard to describe, but to crassly sum the story up, those damned Catholics are trying to resurrect the Messiah to purge the world of all sin and humanity again. We, the player character, are trapped in a cycle of the resurrection of the Messiah, death, and rebirth, and we're searching for a way out of that cycle. Meanwhile, Christian, the pastor's son and our rival, is skeptical of the resurrection of the Messiah and is convinced that the only way out is to destroy us. I think that's a clear description. I also think they're in Tokyo. It's a game about the horrors inherent to self-actualization, like coming to terms with death or denouncing God. There is a lot happening in this game, and most of it is evoked through the grungy atmosphere and the aggressive tone more than literal text. The main core of Lucah is a top-down character action game, where you will mix light attacks, heavy attacks, parries, and guard breaks in order to fight myriad monsters with their own mix of melee, charge, and projectile attacks. In combat, you're managing your health, stamina, and your ability meter in order to maximize your damage output. You can allocate different types of resources to build different styles of combat. And if you run into failure, it comes at a steep cost, but not one that feels like you've wasted your time hopelessly. That steep cost is probably the most interesting part of the game, because as you play through Lucah, you're constantly being timed by a steadily filling corruption meter, and you have to beat the game before that happens. If the corruption meter fills to 100%, well, let's just say you're going to have a bad time. So the pressure is on. This constant pressure reduces a natural tendency for players to want to explore the world thoroughly, but it adds intensity to a game with few healing options between fights. Lucah directly quotes the mechanics and styles of modern games. Right there's Bayonetta, Dark Souls, Nier Automata, Metal Gear Rising, Undertale, and Yume Nikki. In ways that feel comfortably distinct from other contemporary indie character action games. It's a fresh entry in a solidly popular genre that itself feels like the start of a new generation of games because of how it has safely been built on the shoulders of giants. A weaker game would rely on other games as a crutch to leverage players' nostalgia or to milk a trending style of game, but Lucah does an incredible job using other games intentionally as a language in order to build something even greater than the pieces it takes from. And it makes me want to see people build games that are in turn inspired by Lucah. There's real promise inside of this game that is immediately palpable when you pick it up. As much as I enjoy the harsh, foreboding atmosphere of the game, there were times while playing where I felt the direction of my character was too vague, which made the game feel more claustrophobic and anxiety-inducing than it actually is. The pressure of the corruption timer made me feel like Lucah is a linear experience more than it actually is. I saw many interesting locations and people fly by in a blur throughout my first playthrough, and it was hard to remember many of them. I could teleport back to previous areas at any altar, but I never felt like I could afford doing that because tick-tock, that corruption is always seeping in. It feels like I don't have much agency in the game, which is part of the game's main theme, but I'm just saying I could have used a little bit of direction at times. There are also a few smaller problems, like when there are multiple enemies in an encounter, it can be hard to consistently target the same enemy, even if you're clicking on them. Sometimes the attack button moves text forward, and sometimes the select button moves text forward. Also, sometimes selecting text options will seem to not have any effect on the follow-up text line. Those are just a few little things, though. One of the most interesting things that I feel holds Lucah back is that most of the characters talk with the same cryptic style of speech. which is especially a problem because it makes remembering different characters harder than intended. Is it the worst thing in the world? No. But it's just an area that with a little improvement could make this a more stellar game. That said, there are a lot of great things about Lucah. I love that it rewards you well for multiple playthroughs. The screen shake can be turned off, and with or without it, the game still feels buttery smooth. The game's pacing is incredibly tight, so that you always feel like you're learning new skills and concepts consistently throughout the game. Every weapon, or mantra as this game calls them, feels powerful in its own way. I love all the different modes of storytelling the game offers, and how the game can rapidly change between an action game, a visual novel, and a turn-based role-playing game, just for fun. I love that it secretly supports multiple save files, even though you never see a save screen, so you never have to worry about accidentally hitting new game on the main menu and losing everything. The most important thing with Lucah Born of a Dream is that the love and respect this game has for its contemporaries is palpable, and reinforces how much I love those games too. If you're a fan of character action games, or stylized games that explore feelings, or maybe you want a game that feels like some kind of Garage Rock, Sleater Kinney-ass Bayonetta looking hella queer chalk motherfucking video game, then Solin's got a game for you. It's Lucah, Born of a Dream, and it is available on PC, Mac, and Linux. On top of that, there's more content planning on coming out for free as the developer finishes fulfilling Kickstarter rewards and stretch goals over the course of this next year. I'm a big fan of it because it's a young kids' first game. Brianna Lay did the key art for it of Butterfly Soup fame, and I can only see future projects from me less than 3 flying higher and dreaming bigger. Video Game Choo Choo gives Lucah Born of a Dream a confident 4 out of 5.